What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Titus, and in today's video we're going to talk about the voice actor for Geralt of Rivia and maybe some of the criticisms he has for some of you in the community. I don't know. Let's get right into it, shall we? So, another day, another voice actor slash video game star slash publisher looking down their nose at the fan base that made them. In this case, if I had a nickel for every time I read a thread such as this on the internet, instead of a pack of gum, I'd be sunning myself on a beach somewhere on a tropical island, sipping an overpriced umbrella drink, not hunched over my keyboard desperately trying to be funny. Today I had the absolute pleasure of reading a Games Radar article titled, "You Can't Just Have Geralt for Every Single Game," says his voice actor. And if you think The Witcher 4 making Ciri the protagonist is woke, then read the damn books. Well, if I knew how to read, maybe I would, but I can't, so I won't. Of course, jokes aside, these comments came during a video posted on the channel Fall Damage titled, "Geralt Actor Reacts to the Best Witcher Memes." Now, while most of these memes' only crime really was being cringe, of course, leading the VA for Geralt, Doug Cockle, to be equally cringe, we can hardly grab torches and pitchforks for that. Anyone who's been on the internet knows it's the best place for that kind of stuff. Being the internet, however, it also seemed like it was only a matter of time for it to do what it actually does best, and that's trigger the hell out of people. We've all been there, regardless of who you are. At one point or another, you've come across something there and thought to yourself, ooh, I'm not a massive fan of that. Now, while most of us get to be triggered in the comfortable anonymity, it is unfortunate that for someone like Mr. Cockle, the internet gets to see it on full display. The segment began when one of the following memes, and if you were wondering, yes, I'm using air quotes here for memes, said the following. The entire Game Awards chat spamming woke because The Witcher 4 has you playing as Ciri, a woman. Is everything wrong with gaming culture? Now, let's be 1000% honest here with ourselves, each other, and Jesus. This is not a meme. I am no memologist. I have no PH memes degree. But I think we can all agree that this was not a meme, but was inserted into this video because, as I am beginning to suspect, these people are contractually obligated to speak on anything political. Indeed, were I a betting man, it's probably because either the people who set these kinds of things up would rather be speaking on politics but couldn't get a job in that field, or can't help but to inject it wherever they go, feeling the moral obligation to tell us, the viewer, what the correct opinion to have is. Of course, after reading this tweet, Doug Cock-a-doodle-doo would go on to say, I wouldn't say that's everything wrong with gaming culture, but I do think that's just stupid. It's not woke. There's nothing woke about it. It's a cool character from The Witcher, and they're going to focus on that character. I think that's awesome. We can't have Geralt forever and ever ad nauseum. He would say a bit later, if you think it's woke, read the damn books. They're good, first of all, and secondly, you won't think it's so woke anymore. Now, if I knew how to read, I might, but chances are I wouldn't, and anyway, I can't, so right back at you, Mr. Cockle debacle. All right, look, being serious for a second, I have spent some time looking into whether this is true. Does Ciri, in fact, become the main protagonist of the series later on in the books? From what I could gather, the author themselves does speak on this, saying Geralt is a fictional character created to serve the story, which revolves around him. As I understand it, Ciri is a strong secondary protagonist to Geralt, being the child of prophecy and essentially acting as the focal point to the story. To put it in simple terms, Geralt is the main character and Ciri is a secondary character and plot device. Now, of course, the truth is far more nuanced and is often the case when it comes to written media. Oftentimes, people interpret things differently. In many cases, this can work to the strength of a story, causing people to talk and debate about it long after the title itself is over. However, in gaming, these debates, and I'm once again using air quotes, often get pretty nasty, as we all know. Gamers are not famous for their ability to communicate, nor their deft handling of social interactions. Another thing, a lot of, if not most gamers, aren't known for really caring about what the actual truth behind the source material was. Let's keep it real here. How many people who fawned over the Witcher series really cared about the books prior? How many do you think played the game first, said to themselves, "There's a book series for this, sweet, when I learn to read, I'll check it out," and then did so? No, the simple fact is most gamers play games in their free time, consuming the time that they could be used, spent on reading, staring at a screen designed to drip feed them dopamine. Ultimately, you can state that you're doing this because the books, and indeed some people may throw their hands up and say, "Oh, well, that's fine then." But at the end of the day, gamers don't care about that. They care about Geralt, and no amount of browbeating is going to suddenly change their mind. They want Geralt, and that's about that. That's not to say I don't understand woke fatigue, however. Allow me to explain. For some time in the gamosphere, where capital G gamers graze the savannas of Steam and the like, there has been turmoil amongst the flock. It probably began in a small fashion with Gamergate, an event that essentially boiled down to women talking about how toxic gaming culture was and the industry was. There were, of course, many valid claims. There was also the time Anita Sarkeesian was caught sending herself death threats and blaming it on gamers. That, of course, is for her therapist and not me to unpack, but from the seed began to sprout what a lot of people are calling a culture war, where battle lines were drawn in the sand, and if you weren't decrying woke, you were one of those soy jack liberal cuck-a-doodle-doos. The internet is also the place where nuance dies, let's be honest, if I hadn't already mentioned that before. Thus began the story of the boy who cried woke. Now, realistically, like with most things, many of these were real concerns coming from a demographic of people who may not have had the most skill when conveying the problem. Myself included, sometimes I know there's a problem, but I can't entirely convey what the problem is to another human being, so it's woke. If I may be so bold to speak for an entire community, here's the problem with woke. Oftentimes, people don't really care if there's a black trans wheelchair-bound little person as the forerunner for their game. They don't really care if a character is gay or what have you. They care if the game is good. The problem then lies with the way many game developers who put themselves in these political mires decide to go about things. Like a good choose your own adventure, there are presenting two choices. You may either spend the time creating a fun and engaging game, drawing up stories for your characters and treating them like real beings, or you can make a steaming pile of garbage, insert a person of protected class, and then upon receiving any form of real valid criticism, merely state that the person who criticized you is a bigot or something of the like and strut around in self-satisfaction like a prized cockle. Indeed, the issue has come up time and time again where merely disliking a game who features a person of color, gender identity, etc., sees you a worse human being than funny mustache man whose name shall go unmentioned like the real life Voldemort because YouTube and stuff. Developers, journalists, and people on Twitter who haven't played a video game since they were 10 oftentimes pick up these morality mallets and then wield them with reckless abandon choosing to paint entire swaths of people with various adjectives or pronouns or whatever that aren't real or aren't true because they feel that they must protect garbage, trash, the absolute worst I've ever seen out of gaming. This isn't to say that sometimes the boy didn't cry woke because of more nefarious reasons. People cried woke at Baldur's Gate 3 for having body types and gay bear naughty time scenes, and I do not mean big hairy man, I mean an actual bear doing naughty time scenes. But that game was fantastic, and I wish they would release DLCs for the game, but Larian doesn't want to, so oh well to me. Apparently, according to Woke Detector, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is woke, along with Monster Hunter Wilds. Of course, as with any group, there will always be bad actors and weirdos, and in this case, people who shake with an indignant rage at the idea of having to see anyone other than a straight white dude in their game. And this is where the ultimate crossroad is met. If you're like me, you don't want to be fed $80 turd sandwiches, and you definitely don't want to be talked down to by developers for not eating the turd sandwiches. You don't want someone who probably has a lot of skeletons in their closet to question your morality and value as a human being. You also, unfortunately, don't want to be posse to the people going on unhinged rants about how the gays are ruining gaming either. Well, you're in luck, viewer, because the solution to this is to just think for yourself. Hell, if I can do it, so can you. Has Ciri ruined Witcher 4? Maybe. This is a comedic tragedy that in most modern depictions of women in games, in an effort not to offend, they imply that many women main characters are perfect, capable of all things, with their only flaw being that they just haven't self-actualized how badass they are yet. Thus, making them entirely inhuman and unrelatable in my less than professional opinion. It's also unfortunate that on the flip side of this, the standards we hold are a bit different in the gaming community. Many will absolutely let a male main character be kickflip on command cool with no real depth of character or flaws. There is once again a middle ground to this. No one expects Doomguy or Samus Aran to wax poetic as they disembowel and disintegrate demons and aliens in numbers bordering on inconceivable. But other characters like Geralt and Ciri need to be built on something a little more tangible, I think. To be fair, CD Projekt Red does, in general, make excellent games and narratives. They, of course, aren't without their failures. Looking at you, Cyberpunk 2077 launch. And the blaming of those subcontracted bug testers, not a great look for sure. In general, though, they do produce great games, and Witcher 4 will probably be a mechanically sound game. Will the story be good, which is a major sticking point for this series? Time will tell. This is all to say, if you're upset Geralt is gone, well, that's rough, man, I get it. If, however, your gripe was having to see whammons on your screen, well, I don't know, that's rough, man, but you should probably talk to a professional about that one, not gonna lie to you. Also, here's a bit of quick win advice. If you're an aspiring dev or actor or whatever, it's usually not a great idea to hurl jabs at the people who are going to be ensuring that you get to buy food and other things of that nature, like pay your rent and your car and whatever. Just saying, I don't know why this has to be constantly said, but it's fine to have your own opinion on a matter, but like genitals, you don't need to show them to other people every chance you get. Unless you get paid for the privilege, at which point, hey, good for you, that's cool, I guess. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to pump out this video because I've, being in the game sphere for a long time, I've seen a lot of these talking points between games being woke and who's ruining gaming and blah, 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 and developers calling you racist or bigoted because you don't want to buy their yearly slop machine, whatever. So anyway, guys, that's been all for me for today. If you are free Friday and Saturday nights, we stream right here on YouTube from 7 Pacific Standard Time to about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you got the time, if you're up late at night like I am, you're a bit of a night owl, come check us out. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy YouTube stuff, because it really does mean a lot to me and it really does help the channel. Also, it's fine if you think that my opinions are wrong about the video. And in fact, I often do welcome, you know, differing opinions on things. But if you're going to take to the comment section, just be polite about it, guys. You know, we already have so much going on in the gaming sphere where people are constantly at each other's throats. And realistically, I feel like a lot of people miss the point of what's really ruining gaming, which is these $80 turd sandwiches. So anyway, guys, that's been all for me. I've been Titus. And until next time, I'll see you.